This is where the fun begins.
Hello, everyone. This is O.G.Starwars, and welcome to my channel and the second Talking EU of the month. And I am happy to present to you Open-Airlock Policy, our Tim. How are you doing, Tim?
I'm doing well. How are you this evening?
I am doing great. Just had a busy
Good.
day and got excited for this, and I'm happy to have you here.
Oh, yes. Happy to be here for sure.
Yes, exactly. And as always, channel members who attend live streams from August to October, you have a chance to win a copy of my current painting, Mistress of Rattatak.
It's awesome, yeah.
Yes, and I'll go ahead and show because, you know, it's always fun to tease. You know, there you go. That's what she said.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about that. You know, so far I have Miss Martin Muses in here, as well as so far she's the only member I see so far. And then I have two new channel members. They're Jedi Padawans, the Jedi Rifster and TJ Swan. So thank you so much for supporting. And then, of course, Miss Martin Muses. And then we have Telehim 29. Sorry if I butchered your name. And then Mohai Master Yo. What's up?
Hey, yo.
Yo. And then Zacharat 315. Howdy, y'all. And then, of course, thank you so much for modding. You are amazing. And the Sentinel as well.
What's up, Sit?
Yes, what's up? What's up? Please hit the like button and share the stream out. Yes, and thank you, Soul Assassin, for being here as well. And, of course, the Honorable Jedi Luke. I don't know. How is it, Lukey or Luke?
I always say Lukey. I have for a year now. So, yeah.
Yes.
He's never corrected me. I can put it that way.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he doesn't correct it, then I guess it's okay. And then we have E. Clay Thomason. Hello, and welcome to the channel. And then Lady Toriel. Hello. Cross your fingers. I don't know how long the internet will last. Oh, no.
Well, that's probably a human rights violation in 2021, Lady Toriel. So you should report that.
There you go.
Call the police.
Call the police. Yeah, you call them. Hello there, Chaos Man 17, and how are you doing? And then howdy, Keck 44. So it looks like we have a nice little bit of chat coming on in here. And first of all, I always like to ask my interviewees, what is your EU origin story? So what got you into EU? You don't have to share your age or anything, but just go ahead and share your origin story.
Wow. So no, people know how old I am. I'm 46 and it all comes back to, you know, what it says on this shirt here. Star Wars since 1977, right? So my parents took me to see, it wasn't even A New Hope at that point, right? Yeah. It was Star Wars. And they took me to see that at one of the re-releases. I was probably 2.5, almost 3, like in, let's say, 79, something like that. Yeah. And the only thing I remember was like the scene with the droid sale, you know, when, oh, this red one's broken, get the blue one. I just remember the voices and the scenes, and it's, you know, I've seen it 500 times since then, but that particular memory and how I perceived it is still a memory from that age. So I started coming on HBO, right? And we got those guides back in the day, and it would show it's on all these dates. So I would just like mark the calendar and I would watch it every time because we didn't have a VCR at that time, you know. Then we got one. I recorded it off of network TV. I'm watching the movie. So when it comes to, I guess, what's now retroactively the expanded universe, we were downtown back home one time, and we went into a bookstore, and I was looking at this turnstile of comics, and they had a Star Wars one on there. And at that point, It was probably 1982 or so. So it was before Return of the Jedi, and I saw an issue, and I picked it up, and I'm like, whoa, stuff that didn't happen in the movie. That's really cool. So I bought the issue, and I read it and all that stuff. So, I didn't have access to go buy more comics at that age. I couldn't drive around and all that type of stuff. So that's the only one I had. And then my mother bought me Splinter of the Mind's Eye. I was too young to read, like a novel and stuff. But I remember looking at the picture, like, that's pretty cool and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I remember going to a grocery store, Fry's. I don't know if you've ever heard of Fry's before. Yeah, I'm sure you have where you live.
Yes.
It's owned by, like, Kroger now, I think. But point is, they would have a little book section like a lot of grocery stores do. And I remember seeing the Lando Calrissian novels, right? Specifically the one with the brown gold color, whatever it was. I think that's Flame Wind of Ocean. I think that's the one. I remember seeing it, like, and this is after Jedi, right? I remember saying, wow, I want that. And they wouldn't buy it for me, saying, oh, you'll never read that, because you're only 7 years old, whatever. You're never going to read that. So I didn't get it. Well, then, I kind of got older, and we went to Disneyland in 1987. We had just gotten a new house, and we went on vacation. So drove down there, went on vacation, rode Star Tours. And that was like the most amazing experience ever, because have you been there before?
Yes.
It's like being in a real spaceport, right?
Right.
It's like, look at all this shit. You've got the screens showing destinations. You've got droids moving around and the sounds and all that. So then we rode the ride, and I thought the ride, even at that age, was a little cheesy. I was 11 years old at the time. But there's a gift shop at the end, right?
Yeah.
And we bought a poster just like this one. This isn't the one because it got lost in the move. I bought this like off of Facebook, some like Marketplace or something. But point is, I bought a poster and some cups, some coffee cups, which I still have, some Star Tours coffee cups. And then there was Star Wars, the role-playing game, the rule book. Came out in 1987. They had it in that gift shop. I think I have a picture out there somewhere that shows the price tag on the back. That has like the Mickey Mouse ears. So it came from that gift shop. Took it home, started reading through it, and just that rule book. And it was like a very generic rule book at the time. It was the first one they had. Black and white pictures, all that stuff. But it had lore in it. It's like, this is how hyperspace works. Here are the rules for that and a brief explanation. Here's a sample adventure, this rebel base, and all kinds of shit. And then they had ads like for a R2 unit, like the astromech droid, like in-universe ads, and it was the coolest thing ever. And then I got the source book, and then I went to the comic shop that was just a few blocks away from my house, and they started coming out with all the galaxy guides and all that shit. So I would buy those with my allowance or whatever. Then when I got older, I could mow the church lawn and make like $100 a month, which was pretty good, when you're 12 years old. So I started buying all the RPG books from West End Games, and they have all that lore in them. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. It's like the fat guy, the X-Wing pilot, Porkins, like it has this whole background in his profile in the A New Hope Galaxy Guide. Like he won the Kenobi medallion. It was like one of the medals they had. He was from Tirfon Rebel Base. He was a yellow ace. So you're learning all this shit. And then we started playing the game. I got a couple of friends. And then you're like living in the universe. So, at a really young age, just because I didn't have the access to it, and I think my parents started to worry that I was getting obsessed with Star Wars because they wouldn't buy me any action figures after like the first year of Return of the Jedi. That's why I don't have a lot of the Power of the Force line from 1984, because they really thought I was becoming obsessed. So once I was able to get older and start buying this stuff myself, that's when I really started getting into it. So that was a really long-winded explanation, but that's basically the story of it. So
that's your whole like adventure through it and stuff. And I'll ask you some more about your RPG game playing here soon, but I know who your favorite character is. You already shared that with me. So share with everybody who your favorite character is and why.
Well, yeah, just full screening right here, and you can see back here my Wedge shrine. This has like the vinyl figure. It has his X-Wing, specifically his X-Wing from the Titanium series. It's got a Lego minifig. It's got the little kid baby Wedge. It's got a TIE fighter pilot of the little kid. It's got a metal, also a Titanium series out of the package TIE fighter from the time that they were like the Imperial pirates. What else am I missing here? Yeah, and that's it. So, and up on the wall, you've got the vintage collection and the original trilogy collection, all Wedge. So definitely my favorite character. And when I met, you can go back to normal now if you want. No, don't even go there.
You're okay right now. I'll keep you right here for a few.
But when I went to Celebration 2 in 2002 in Indianapolis, I went into one of the panels early. That's the one where I interacted with Pablo Hidalgo because he was emceeing the event, and I made a video on that. But I walked in early, and guess who was at the table? He was the only one up there. It was Aaron Alston. So I approached him with this book I have in my hand, and I brought the book with me just on the off chance, and it's my favorite book. And it's Starfighters of Adamar. And he actually signed it. Let me see if I can find the page here. Is
it on your favorite page where he signed? Oh, no, right there. Oh, look at that. See, you guys?
Glad you liked it. And I told him, like, hey, this book did more for Wedge than every other book did up to that point. He really expanded the character, understood the character, gave the character depth and stuff. This book, it's funny. It's recognized as a comedy book, but it also has a lot of character depth. That's when he and Ayala finally get together, and I like the story itself. It's almost like a Star Trek episode where they're on like this mission, right, to some random planet. Yeah. So it's a fun adventure story with a beginning, middle, and end, and then you get a lot of Wedge and his buddies. You get Tycho and Wes. Right. And Hobby. So just a great book. So I got to meet Aaron Alston and he signed it. So that's my favorite character. Yeah. Because he's the only guy that's not a main character that's in all three movies. Who else is?
Right. And he's so expanded on. Like if you go and look into his lore and you really put together all his lore from the beginning to towards the end before the buyout, it's like it's as in depth as Luke Skywalker's. And Leia's and stuff, because there's so much covered on him, even though he's not specifically the EU, that's where he shines.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yes, exactly. And then thank you, Timon, for becoming a channel member.
From Brazil.
Yes. And so your name will go in for the drawing now, too, to win a copy of the painting. All right. So I have a little quiz question for you here. What standard year was Wedge born?
What standard year are we talking? Like year. Are we talking Wars. Like BBY?
Yeah, so we're talking about Star Wars years.
I think it's 22 BBY.
Close.
How close?
By 1.
Is it 23?
21.
Wow. I knew I was pretty close. So
yeah, you're like, hit me with the tough ones. Let's do this. So I'm like,
I was pretty close.
I did that to Matt Wilkins too. So I was like, let's do this, Yeah. And so I do have another one for you here. Due to Wedge Antilles being a favorite character, what squadrons was he associated with in his career?
Red, Rogue, Wraith, Dinner Squadron. Are you really counting that one?
I didn't put that one down, but I knew what you were talking about.
What was the one when they were playing the Pirates? Hawkbat? Was that it?
Hawkbat, I think so. Yes, because they had there was a joke about that.
Twin Sons, that was during NJO. Um, that's all I can think of. What else?
And
what am
then
I missing?
Tearfon Yellow Aces.
He was. Are you sure he was a Tearfon?
Yes, he was a part of that because they're a training squadron.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was a part of that. So he was, so he didn't fully fly with them, but he helped with the training and stuff.
Now, what's interesting, that base was originally revealed in the Star Wars source book. They actually have a diagram of the base. It's carved into a mountainside. And stuff. So pretty cool. Oh, it was Hotback. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. I just laugh at that because they joke around about that and stuff.
Yeah.
It's good good stuff. All right. And so, who are Wedge Antilles' family? So his family, not
his sister is CL, right? And that storyline kind of confused me. I always forget whether or not they got to reconnect and reconcile. I don't think they ever did, right?
No.
Sad.
Well, we never got it, even though she married FL, and Jagged is his nephew.
Yeah.
Which so the parents, you should know one name already because it's obvious.
CL, yeah.
No, that's the sister. I'm talking about the parents.
Oh, Jagged. Yeah.
Jagged, and who's his mom?
I don't know the mother's name.
Oh, okay.
Wait. Is it Miri? Is it?
No, it's Xena.
Okay, because he named his kids, right?
Miri he named. CL, yeah. So he named after the woman that he adored. That's Booster Tarek's daughter, and then his sister.
Yep.
Exactly. So, and all right. So I have another quiz for you to see if this can come. If you can think of this one, the Gus Treda Inner System Market Station. What is that exactly?
Well, that's where his family owned the refueling station, and it was painted like with checkers. Yeah. Okay. And then it got damaged by the pirates, right? So he went back and got revenge on them. And he became a smuggler.
Yeah. So do you know exactly where that's located and how it originated?
Yeah, it's around one of the moons of Corellia, right? And I don't know what you mean by it originated.
Yeah, that how did it come to be a station?
I don't know.
Okay. That was like a Laura. Why you give me?
I won't even guess.
All right, so it once was the Zim Scion pirates ship, and the security from Corellia is the one
Corsac,
Corsac, and their security. I couldn't think of the name. I'm like, shit. And they're the one that defeated it. So the wreckage that was left, some Corellians got together and put it together and created a station.
Nice. I never knew that. See, that's how much lore there is out there that even if someone like me, or sometimes stuff you don't know, it's like, that's how much there is out there.
Exactly.
There's so much information.
And that's why I love having Talking EU, because everyone, like I said, that I bring in has their own different, path taking it, and we all learn from each other. And so everybody else learns from it. And so the Antilles, Jagged, the father, is the one that owns the gas station part of the station there. Yeah. And it was destroyed in 4 BBY. And that's when, Wedge, went off on his own. And before he came involved with the rebellion. Now, before he became involved with the rebellion, or actually what made him, let me see, how am I going to word this? Because I didn't write it down. How did he get involved with the rebellion? Do you remember?
So he was doing some smuggling, and then I think he started smuggling for them, if I remember correctly. Right? And then he just kind of started flying fighters for him. That's the most I remember. I think he was doing smuggling for them.
He was smuggling through Booster Tarek, yes, because Booster, adopted him. But one of the reasons he got involved was that the Empire killed his girlfriend, and that was his breaking point.
Wait a minute, killed his girlfriend. Who was she? Which
I
one?
didn't write down her name. Shit.
Wait, was that from a comic?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I need to reread those Rogue Squadron comics for sure. It's been a long time.
Okay.
I have them all.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what happened with that. It's because his girlfriend was killed by the Empire. That was his breaking point. And, so he had a lot of, and that's what I like about these characters is like even these heroes, and it's not just inclusive to Luke, all of our heroes in Star Wars, they all have, their heroine path, and they all have their loss, their faults, and everything like that we can relate to, right? And Wedge is just the same. And I love Wedge as well because he is a non-force using pilot, so he can fly with the best of them, like Luke Skywalker, and he doesn't rely on the force. And that's what makes him uniquely different.
Here's an awesome moment. I remember in Betrayal when he and Han were flying for the Carillion government and those experimental ships, and they were going to create a hole under that hotel and go through the parking garage and come up under the dome shield. They were kind of competing. Like they shouldn't have been competing at that point. Like I got to be like 1 meter ahead of him in speed. Yeah. So you've got Han Solo and Wedge Antilles like competing in piloting skills, and how much cooler can you get than that?
Oh yeah.
So.
And thank you, Deranged Lunatic, for the 99 super sticker. It is a rose, and thank you so much.
99.
99. Yes. All right. Yeah. And let's see here. I know I still have people jumping in here. So Jeff, the Iron Wolf, Wedge can keep up with the Force pilots with nothing but pure skill.
Yep.
Exactly. And that's what really attracted me to him, was that he was very, very gifted. Force people are gifted, right? But I think he's significantly more gifted because he didn't have to rely on the Force.
Yeah. And he didn't, something else he didn't rely on was academy training. Like Disney went and messed up all of his lore. Like, oh, he was a Imperial cadet, why? Just leave him out of it. I mean,
they have to it's fine. If they want a defector, they had one in Finn, right? And they could have done something significant with him. But if they wanted a defector, they could have made another character themselves.
They could have done Maydeen or something. It was already there. But
exactly. But they had to change the arc, which basically changes even him going into, the forming of Rogue Squadron and stuff like that. A lot of that's changed now. So when that movie comes out, it's not going to be the same. People don't be fooled by it. Don't be fooled by it. It's not going to be based upon the book. It's not, because it doesn't fit.
No.
It does not. So, yes. And then, so here's another one for you. This is another quiz. All right. So what is the Antilles maneuver?
Oh, man.
It's not going to be all about Wedge Antilles, but these are some things you're like, just hit me with some stuff. And I'm like, okay.
I could have sworn they did that in Legacy of the Force as well. Damn. I don't know what it is, but did they also do it in Legacy of the Force? With his daughter, it seems like.
Yes, with his daughter. And
I knew it.
Requires two starfighters. It's a technique used against a Talon roll. It was used by two starfighters going wing to wing.
Oh, yeah, I know. Okay, stop. I know what it is.
Okay,
it makes it look like it's one ship on the sensor profile, but it's really two. Yep, got it.
There you go.
Got it. Yep.
There you go.
Because I just read that book like a few months ago. So
yeah, you need that little extra push. Sometimes you need the extra push. And then Michael Jolin, and he's like, question, no idea.
See, that's what made Alston, Stackpole, Zahn, and a few others so awesome that they could do Star Wars, but they could also do like some science fiction stuff that would fit like in any universe, and it just made it so cool. So yeah, I totally remember that from a few months ago when I read that book.
Yeah, and we all notice like those little tiny details that some, you know, and they stick in our head in a way because you're like, wow, that was very creative.
Yeah.
And that's why Star Wars is so fun, because especially when you get good writers like Alston, we get these amazing little stories and these amazing little maneuvers and stuff. Now, chat, take a look at the screen here. You know, Tim is right there, just where Wedge Antilles' picture is on the screen, and he can totally cosplay him.
I'm probably too tall, though.
So it doesn't. I'm just saying, you got the face, you got the facial features, you got the hair color, all of that.
You know what else I have?
Totally play him. What's that?
I have a helmet up in the attic.
Oh, damn! You should have.
I bought it. Yeah, I bought it from the catalog from Star Wars Insider back in the mid '90s. So it's up there somewhere.
Don't Steve want to play X-wing with it? Yeah. You heard that story, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
All right, Jeff, stack polls on Travis, Alston, and they are just amazing. Yes, they are.
And there's a few others that I like some of the time. Like, I don't like all of Denning's stuff, but when I do like it, I like it. Luceno, I don't like all of his stuff, but when I do like it, I like it. Like Darth Plagueis, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't like some of his other books. It's like hit or miss. But those four right there are probably the ones, right?
The ones. All right. So tell me, where did Wedge Antilles wish to live growing up? He had a specific place he wished to live. He even made a map of it and studied the map. He adored the place so much.
Wedge did?
Yes. There's a certain place on a certain planet.
Trying to think here.
Take your time.
Would it be somewhere on Corellia? Would it be somewhere?
Corellia, there you go. So you got the planet.
The Golden Beaches. I don't know.
No. Coronet City. You like the Golden
Why would you
Beaches?
want to live in the city when you've got the Golden Beaches on Corellia?
I don't know.
Come on.
He just adored the.
I don't. What book is that from?
I think it's from one of the comics as well.
Okay.
But because this is his younger years, so this is when they were exploring his younger years. Because this is before his parents were murdered or killed by the pirates and all that. He liked the Coronet City because it was kind of like a jeweled city at night, kind of like how Coruscant is jeweled with all the lights and stuff. So he just liked how it looked, and that's it. Yeah. So. And so I thought that was interesting at first, you know, when I said like it was like similar to a jeweled city or whatever, I was thinking Coruscant, why? But then I, was reading more into it. I'm like, oh, it was on Corellia. Yeah. But he's always been, a representative guy from Corellia, even though he didn't have the same swagger as Han Solo. And I think that was very awesome how they didn't give them the same similarities of the Corellian swag, because then they would be very similar, and we don't want similarities between. We want them to be distinctively different.
But they're both rebels at heart.
Yeah.
But just in different ways,
Just in different ways, yeah. So I loved how they distinguished the two, and I think it was in Legacy of the Force when they both Han and Antilles decided to when the Galactic Alliance went against Antilles and imprisoned him. Remember that?
Yeah. And
then finally he broke him, and he's like, well, I'm going to go ahead and, fight for my planet and stuff. And they even, mentioned about how Antilles is not the classic swagger kind of a Corellian.
And it's got that scene where he stands up to Thraken Saucedo, after that meeting.
Yes.
Man, that was a great scene, and he's like pretty much, at some point he's going to put a hit out on me. But for now, at least I grew a pair of balls and I just,
he's like,
that scene was awesome.
Yeah. And, I read it and then I also listened to it, and even listening to it, even though there's a little bit cut out, listening to it on Audible, just how Wedge was. Man, I was like, man, you got some balls and you don't care. Because he's like, and so go ahead, recruit my daughter. Just try it and stuff. And so I was like, damn, he's brazen.
And then you've got that scene, and it's I don't know why it worked, but it did, where Thraken comes down to where they're training in those new ships, and Han has his helmet on.
Yeah.
So he says, don't take the helmet off, and they come up with some kind of excuse. That was actually a pretty funny scene.
Yeah.
But it wasn't forced or anything, and that's the brilliance. Someone said it earlier in the chat. The brilliance of Alston's comedy. He could do it, and it just didn't seem forced.
Yeah.
So he was an actually funny guy, R.I.P. And
Yeah.
when I met him, though, he didn't seem funny. He was like a really quiet kind of guy, but he just understood humor really well. So. Well,
yeah, and I don't think sometimes the most quiet people can surprise you with their depth of whatever they're interested in. When has a great way of translating things, and maybe it's due to being quiet and observant more than listening and stuff more than talking. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's, and I envy you on you able to meet him. I never got to meet any of the authors growing up. So
yeah, after the thing, theoretically I could have met Salvatore, Denning, Luceno, the editors, but I just wanted to meet him that day. I did meet Denning that day because he signed my hardback of Star by Star, and I forgot he'd done that, but I opened it up about 6 months ago, and I'm like, oh, he signed it, and I took a picture and I put it on Twitter. But he's the one I wanted to meet because this is the only book I brought with me into a convention, because on the off chance that I ran into him, and I knew that I was going to go to those 2 panels that he was on. It was a continuity panel and New Jedi Order panel. Those were the 2 panels. So, I wanted him to sign it, and just so happens he came in early and he was setting up his backpack on the table and stuff. So, awesome guy. Really humble.
Yes. Just imagine there was a continuity panel. Continuity.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I made that Pablo Hidalgo video. So if you guys haven't seen that, I just kind of talk about what he's really like. Put away the Twitter bullshit away and just watch that video. He's a condescending prick. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. He is. And so I would take it then that Alston is your favorite author.
Probably him or Stackpole.
Okay.
I think they're almost combined because reading Legacy of the Force, I think Alston does a good job writing Corran Horn.
Yeah.
Because I think they collaborated a lot and stuff. So I think he does a great job writing that character. But between those two, Zahn had some good books. I liked his first 5 books.
Yeah.
But after that, his books were pretty hit or miss for me. I didn't care for Survivor's Quest that much. I think what happened in them made sense and it needed to happen, but it was kind of like a paint by the numbers thing. But Thrawn trilogy, just like a masterpiece, just the whole plot and a lot of the stuff, the tactics that Thrawn used, like the way he used the cloaking device. Again, you go back to that science fiction stuff, that's just cool in any universe. But then, Hand of Thrawn, I liked it too. I thought that was a good duology. But then after that, just a lot of his books I didn't like. So it's probably between Alston and Stackpole. And of course, Travis is good. But an honorable mention is A.C. Crispin. I thought she did a great job on the Han Solo trilogy. So,
I agree. I agree. And
good
she even honored dailies too, because she did put some.
Yes. Those are good books too. They felt like Star Wars, to use that cliche.
Yeah, that cliche. All right. So Smart Muses says, I went out to dinner with Alston with a Star Wars club I was in. He was excellent.
Oh yeah, Texas thing, huh? Because he's from Texas, so
awesome. And then Small Time says a continuity panel. That would be a crazy idea today.
No, they'd have one today, and they would just be completely
assholes,
oblivious and they would just spurg out and not even realize that what they're talking about is bullshit. They have no continuity now at all.
Yeah.
What's up, Magneno?
And it's just it's gone. It's like they don't even care. They're not even trying these days. They're not even trying at all. And it's just a sad thing. It's a sad thing because, you know, I mostly gave up when they decided to, you know, do away with the EU. They're, you know, one of the core canon world building material. But then I still was like, well, I was curious, you know, and I was like, well, let's see how The Force Awakens is. And then I'm like, no, because they're doing a soft reboot of the OP. Hell no.
I just thought, I was like, number one, I was already pissed, right, because of the EU thing.
Yeah.
But then I go to see the movie, and within like 5 minutes, I'm just like bored already. Just that whole opening scene with that old man, whatever his name is, that lore keeper guy. It was just so dumb.
Santeca
like
or something, Laura Santeca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Played by the great what's his name? I can't think of his name. The actor is great.
Yeah.
But just that whole opening scene was stupid. And I'm like, I know this is going to be dumb. And, oh, we're going to steal a TIE fighter. And, oh, yeah, what's your name? And I'm going to call you Finn. I'm like, this is just, I don't know. I hated it so much.
It was beyond paint by the numbers. It was very obvious. It was like we had New Hope. And it was just ridiculous. And so we have Steven Saucedo here. Thank you so much. When it comes to the original Star Wars team, Lucas is the main guy, but the other people of the team are awesome. Ben Burt, John Knoll, and John Dykstra, and so many others. Groundbreakers they are.
Joe Johnston, Dennis Murin. I mean, the list goes on. All those guys. Max von Sydow. Yeah. You know, great actor. He played Ming in Flash Gordon, one of my favorite movies of all time. But yeah, all those guys, like Ben Burt talked about how the culture changed, you know, when Disney took over and they acted like he was some intern. And that guy, I think he did some assistant directing too. He wasn't just the sound guy, you know?
Yeah.
So he wrote some books. He wrote the Intergalactic Trade Language Guide, whatever the hell it was called. So yeah, all those guys that were there from the beginning and loved the property and stuff, they were just relegated to jobber status, to use a wrestling term.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's see here. Who is your favorite Jedi and why? If you had to choose one. It's such a big, huge list of it. And there's so many little eras here and there to pick from.
Oh,
I'm making you think tonight. So hopefully, maybe you should have had a couple more drinks. No.
I've had quite a few tonight, and I'm not even feeling it. I guess that's the advantage of weighing like 280 pounds. But, you know, this is probably a question I've been asked before and I pondered before.
Yeah.
That's a lot of history because you're going all the way back 4,000 years, 5,000 years before Battle of Yavin to like 130 after the Battle of Yavin, right?
And if you want to or need to, you could break it up into the eras of like, you know, to the classical, to legacy.
I think I have it. It's
okay.
Now that I thought about it, you know, if you're talking mainstream stuff, probably Qui-Gon, just because he's a rebel and I like rebels, but just overall, probably Quinlan Vos.
Okay.
Because that storyline.
Oh, yeah.
In the comics, me and some friends back in 2000, 1999, 2000, 2001, we would get on there, you know, on AOL, and we would just talk about it forever because great storyline, great art, great covers of the comics, all that stuff. Yeah. Just so much depth with his character and with his apprentice, Aayla Secura. That storyline with the what's the vampire species?
Oh, the Anzadi?
Anzadi, that whole story arc. I mean, just what a great character, you know. Then they had that Elseworld story where he met Han Solo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just good stuff.
Yes, very much so. And what did you think about the relationship he had with Kayleen? Kayleen, whatever her name is.
Yeah, and they had a kid or something, right?
Yes, the child was born during the purge or during that time frame. Yeah.
I thought it fit the character because he was kind of like a rogue as well, right? So, yeah, great character. But that whole comic series had so many great characters. His master was the Dark Woman, right? I believe she was cool. Yeah, you had Villy that Small Time's talking about. That guy was freaking awesome.
Yeah, he was
Vilmar Grark.
Yes.
You had Ayla. You had trying to think of what else they did in there. Just so many great characters.
Whatever her name is, the plant woman, Tarasa. I butchered.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. Also the Tuscan guys.
Oh,
Asherad and Sharad Het. What a great storyline that was.
Yeah, exactly.
So, just cool stuff.
Yes, and then let's see here. What I probably know, and we probably know since you were holding to the book. But I'm going to ask us anyways because we might be surprised. What is your favorite novel series?
Yeah, probably X-Wing.
Yeah, okay. I was like, you were holding the book, but I just got to ask anyways because you never know. You might surprise us.
Yeah, because again, Heir to the Empire trilogy, good, great, excellent, whatever you want to say. Legacy of the Force, so far it's good. You know, I'm on the 4th book right now.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like good in a different way. But this series right here, it's, I don't know, you have all these character moments, right?
Right.
And all these different missions. And you have more freedom with characters that aren't the main guys, like Luke and Han and Leia. So they get to kind of do what they want. Plus, I also like it because it's Star Wars, obviously Star Wars, right?
Yes.
But they could take this and kind of put it in another universe, and it would still be a good story. I mean, and think of the groundbreaking things that happened in it. Like when they retook Coruscant, it happens in the X-Wing book. It doesn't happen with Han and Leia in a big book. It happens in the X-Wing series, and it's awesome, and it's convincing and it's legitimate. So definitely the X-Wing series. I remember when that came out, you were going to Barnes and Noble back in the 90s, and it seems like every other month there would be a new Star Wars book on the shelf, right? There it is right there. I remember picking this up. I'm like, oh, they made a book based on the game, right? And you kind of think, man, that's probably going to be lame, you know? Right. It's based on the book. So I buy it, take it home, I'm reading it, and after the first chapter, you're like hooked because I think our friend Stieg pointed this out. See you later, Alex. I think he pointed this out that especially in that first book, they really based it on the gameplay of the original PC game. So you're reading that in the first chapter, and it's like, whoa, you know, that really does resemble the game. But then they have these unknown characters with all these different pieces of drama. And then you have stuff like Arisi Delaret is like the mole, and it's really obvious, but at the same time, like sometimes stories should be obvious, you know. And so you get that payoff when she tries to she tries to fuck Corrin, and he doesn't want any, and like, you know, hell hath no fury, like a scorned woman and stuff. That was like a cool scene. He's like, I'm too tired right now to take you to bed. There's so many cool like scenes. Like it was like a spy novel, but a military science fiction, but it was also Star Wars. And then they used Bacta. Like, what are we going to do next? We're running out of ideas. I know. Let's have Asard like take over Thyfera where they produce Bacta because it's a very important commodity. You know, just so many cool ideas. Because you're wondering, how did they get from Return of the Jedi to Heir to the Empire, right? Like all this stuff had to have happened, and a lot of it happens in this series, and it happens without really soiling the main characters. They could use Wedge and all these new characters.
Iman is never too tired.
Well,
it's a letdown.
we can be too tired. I'll be honest. So
we won't go into the dynamics of that, but not today.
But I think that also showed that he really loved Mirax, right? Because the way that they describe her in the art I've seen, Arisi was probably a pretty attractive woman, right? But
Yeah.
I think he loved Mirax, and he wasn't with her, but at the same time, he didn't want to he wanted to save himself for her. So he was the last galactic virgin. So
there you go. Okay, small time. The X-Wing books do a great job of transitioning from battle scenes to quieter ones. Yep. Yep, I agree.
I got a question for you. What do you think the weakest X-Wing book is?
Oh God.
I know my answer.
I think it's be the last one in the series.
No, that's this one.
Which one?
Starfighters.
No, the one that's at the very end of the timeline. What's it called?
This one. This happens.
Mercy Kill? Mercy
this
Kill.
happens. Oh, that I don't even count that one. To me, it's like no, nothing against it because I haven't even read it yet. I just bought it for the first time. But yeah, I can imagine that it's not as good. But I just kind of count the first 9. Aside from Mercy Kill, what would you say?
Oh, that's a tough one.
A lot of people say Asard's Revenge, but I kind of liked it because I thought it was kind of a cool mission and stuff. But what do you think? I know my answer. My
answer was Mercy Kill.
Okay.
I rather liked all of them. Mercy Kill didn't. It's like it's very open-ended kind of book.
Too little, too late.
Yeah, but by the time that came out and stuff, and then there was you can't follow through with everything, and so. So I thought it was weak for that.
Here's mine.
Okay, go ahead.
Solo Command.
Oh shit, I was thinking that one too.
Well, because
yes.
At the very end, they're like, okay, now you need to read Courtship of Princess Leia. It's like, no, just tell the story from the Wraith's perspective of how that battle ends, and have a denouement where the team is saying, shaking hands, yay, we did it, and I'm going to go off and do this and that now. But they just end it so abruptly, and I'm like, no, that's unacceptable. That wasn't a good finish, and I don't think it was Alston's fault. I think it's probably the editors that kind of wanted it to end that way. So.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that because it's like we go from the first one to the last one without talking about Mercy Kill, and you didn't have to go and read another material. Is all self-contained, right. Even though it expanded on the lore and we got what was going on, and then we get to Solo Command and you're like, wait a minute here. So someone has to understand this and this to understand that, and it takes you out of the immersion of what the series is about. Yeah. So yeah. So, and then Miss Martin Muse says, I thought Luke was the last galactic virgin.
Well, that explains a lot because when you read I, Jedi, right, where Corran is just completely subverting Luke every step of the way on Yavin at the Academy, it's because by then Corran has gotten some and Luke hasn't. So he's trying to exert his alpha male status over Luke because he's the one that has gotten something. So you're probably right, Teresa. Luke is still the last galactic virgin. So
and everybody's and this is the second or third about Mercy Kill. So
we need a T-shirt of that. Somehow find a way to use a picture of Luke without getting hit for trademark or copyright, and just put the last galactic virgin.
Oh my God! And that could even go for the new lore. But you know what? Okay, so I'll kind of walk back on that. Original lore, Luke does eventually have girlfriends, and we don't know exactly what happens until finally when he gets RJ. So it's kind of telling. So original Luke, still Chad compared to the new Luke. So there we go. So I kind of stood up for him there. And then Chaos Man 17 wasn't one of the best moments in the X-Wings book when an Imperial officer defected and called out on Isard and all her flaws or his, because I saw that's a woman unless you're talking about her father. And screaming and why she sucks, and finished by saying he was resigning. Oh, you're talking about the defector, and that's okay.
Well, I remember they had four Star Destroyers that they had to somehow eliminate, and one of them they blackmailed one of the captains by catching him with his mistress. Do you remember that scene? And they destroyed one, and they did some other stuff. But yeah, that one I think I remember that Chaos Man 17's talking about.
Yeah. And then Michael Jolene says, "Go, Tim, read the book from Thinking."
Here's my plan. I'm going to finish Legacy of the Force. Then I guess I'm going to read Fate of the Jedi, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to read Millennium Falcon. Maybe later. Then I'm going to...
So, that one, Millennium Falcon, that's a fun read, but it doesn't matter if you read it. It's basically just about the Millennium Falcon in general. It really doesn't have any tie-ins anywhere, so you don't have to read other material to understand it. It's a standalone. Okay. Yeah.
Well, then I'll probably read Crucible. Then I'm going to go way back, and I'm going to read the Bane trilogy.
Okay.
Then I might try some of the Old Republic books.
Okay.
And then I need to read the Republic Commando series. And then it's just like spot books after that. So I really don't have that much to catch up on. Well, I guess I do have a lot to catch up.
Yeah, it's a lot of reading because even the Commando series, like 4 or 5 books or something like that.
The Fate of the Jedi is 9. You know, I got 5 more to go in Legacy. So
Yep. You could, with all those tallied up, you could be reading the New Jedi Order again for all 19 of them.
Well, and you know, those were awesome, and it was fun being on whatever you want to call, wasn't social media, but being on AOL back in the day when those were coming out. But people forget that was originally slated to be 24 books because Stackpole's duology was going to be 3 because Siege was going to be one of the books. And then Michael Jan Friedman had a trilogy, Nightfall, that got canceled. Then there were 2 other books spread throughout the series that got canceled. So it was going to be 24 fucking books long. That's a long series.
It's still long for 19, but it's, you know, it's a great read. It's very, very dark. Of course, with me, there's some I'm like, and then there's ones I really, really like. But that's with every series. You're going to have great, and then you're going to go like, okay, this book, they didn't quite pick the feeling of the series kind of deal. And I know you were talking about Tempest not picking up the feeling of the series at all.
Right.
So
it was weird. It was like, I don't know, like a lot of stuff wasn't explained. They just jumped into it. And it's like, okay, you know, Jason has a Star Destroyer now and all this other stuff. I felt like I had to double check to see if I missed a book.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this is the next one. And then the characters just kind of, I don't know, including Aura Singh was kind of weird. Like, why? Just because you want to? It was kind of off. I can't wait for the next one to see if he cleans it up a little bit. But I'm on Exile now, and I really love Alston's work. So
yeah, Exile's a good read, and yes, like putting Aura Singh in there, and I'm like, how the freaking is she in here? It's like how many years, and she's like young, or I don't even recall her age in in the comics during the PT era, during the Clone Wars era. And I'm like, how in the heck? And then they're like, oh, well, the father was unknown. And so he's basically a species that, you know, they age slowly. They have a long life. And I was like, oh, yeah. So that's how you're going to explain it away, you know?
Right.
You know, and she still looks young and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, are you serious? Yeah. So that was my miss. I was like, it's neat that you brought her. It's neat that, you know, that you're tying the past to the present, but there is a point in time when they're too old. They're too old.
Yeah.
Like Boba Fett, I get him. He doesn't have age accelerator like the other clones because he's a pure clone of Fett, you know, of Jango. I get what he's going through and why and stuff. But with her, I'm like, yeah, that was just, you know,
well, they could have used any other character and it wouldn't have made a difference. It's not like you're watching something visually and you can see the character as a member berry anyway.
Exactly.
But yeah, and then the whole thing with anyone even possibly believing that Han and Leia were trying to kill Tenno Ka. It's like no one would ever have believed that. So that was just kind of a weird book.
Yeah.
Yeah, great books right there, Jeff.
Rebel Dream and Rendo Stan. Yeah, Rebel Stan. There we go. And then let's see, Samuel. Hello. Hey, friends. Totally forgot about this. Got caught up cleaning the house before my dad comes to visit. That's okay. And I'm glad you're here with us and that you have now time to sit with us and listen. And then later on, you can ask some questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then Michael Jolin, I didn't read Red Harvest either.
Oh, so we did that for a book club about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like it. It was just kind of dumb.
Yeah. Like Death Troopers and Red Harvest, yeah, they were interesting, but I don't know. I think it was like forced, like putting in like scare factor, zombies and stuff like that. I mean, I love the Anzadis in the PT era. Those are great. It made sense during the time, but for these other ones, it's just kind of I wasn't really taken back on them at all.
No.
So let's see here, and it says smart zombies, collective smart. Oh my god! All right, so we're gonna kind of jump into the movies here. Which were your favorite Star Wars movies overall? Then and then the OT.
All right, let's do it by name, and someone in the chat can keep track of it by number. It's going to go from top to bottom. Empire, A New Hope, Jedi,
okay,
Attack of the Clones, The Phantom Menace, and Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, so that's from the top to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so Revenge of the Sith is your very last one you liked?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Okay, so just elaborate a little bit more on that then.
Well, I don't know. I thought it had some good scenes and stuff, but I like Attack because of the whole like conspiracy, what is Sidious doing type thing. I liked Obi-Wan's mission to Kamino.
Yeah, she's like, wow.
I liked the battle, the big battle that we've been told about for 30 years, happened. It wasn't Mandalorians versus Jedi like we all had thought that fan films had done. But then again, you had this huge battle with them. The love scenes, they were what they were. Everyone makes fun of those, but I think that movie has a lot more to it. But that's kind of what it's remembered for. You had Yoda kicking ass. You had the whole battle, not just the Jedi battle, but the whole like clone battle at the end. I thought that was awesome. I really liked that movie. I liked the Phantom Menace for a lot of reasons. I liked the way that Sidious was manipulating things. Oh yeah, and it was just this big plot and stuff. The pod racing was kind of cool, stuff like that. And with Revenge, it was, it's not that it was bad. It's just I liked the other two more. Yeah. I liked the Phantom Menace duel more than I did Revenge of the Sith. I thought it was just a little bit too outlandish for me. I don't know. Just they're like fighting on the repulsor lift robot or droid things, and I don't know. It was just a little bit too much for me, but it was good, but I just like the other two more. So
yeah. All right. And then so talking about the saber duels, you might have given it to us already, but what is your favorite out of the whole series? The most
Empire.
Okay.
And the reason why is because when you see that, it's not a bunch of acrobatics or choreographed dueling, right? It really seems like it's an inexperienced kid with a weapon he had only become familiar with 3 years before, fighting a master of it. And you can kind of tell during the whole fight that Vader is anytime Luke gets an edge, it's probably because he let him, right? Because he could wipe him out at any time.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So it feels real, and he gets bloodied and all that stuff. He's sweating and all that stuff. So, and you get the whole emotion behind it. He's taunting him the whole time, and then he finally defeats him, and he just goes ahead and thinks he's killing himself, and very emotional duel and stuff. But Jedi was just as emotional, but I just felt like it was a little bit shorter and stuff.
Yeah.
A New Hope one was what it was, And honestly, the Phantom Menace one was good, but some of the parts were obviously choreographed. It's kind of like watching pro wrestling at some points. Like, let's wait for him to hit my blade here and here and here.
Yeah.
So I felt it could have been a little bit more organic. So
yeah. For me, I like Return of the Jedi's duel, then Empire Strikes Back. So I'm kind of flip flopped on that one.
Perfect. Yeah, that's totally acceptable. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for approving. Yeah. So, I mean, and all of them are, great. And I like the point that you pointed out about Empire Strikes Back duel, where, he's still green with the saber, even though he's very talented because he is a Skywalker, right?
Yeah.
He's got that, natural ability in a sense, but even natural ability needs to be trained. And then all of a sudden, I'm doing a compare and contrast right now. We have the one, the only Rey Palpatine, who basically could pick up the lightsaber and use it without any training practice. And it takes you out of the belief of how the training and all that was set up by George Lucas, that one must have discipline and years of training to even wield the Force.
Right.
Right. So people stick up for her all the time regarding that, and I'm like, do you even watch the previous movies and research the lore to understand that why people call her a Mary Sue, and why her using the lightsaber as perfectly as she did, it is very wrong towards the lore. So that's another reason why I walked out and I'm like, I cannot stand this movie. Yeah. Because it's like she all of a sudden she glazes out and she starts connecting with the Force, and I'm like, that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, it was I hate to use that cliche, but again, it just didn't feel like Star Wars, just because there's lightsabers and the music and all that. To me, it felt foreign, Yeah. Even, like a lot of people weren't huge fans of the prequels, and they say they were letdowns. A lot of people said that, but at least you go in and you don't get that completely foreign feeling like you got from the Disney trilogy.
Yeah.
It just felt like they were going in and making something, throwing the Star Wars label on it because they thought people would come regardless. That's what it felt like to me. Yeah. I mean, you guys had how many years to come up with something, and you rushed into it and you came up with that.
Right.
Like, you could have let it stew for a couple more years. George Lucas hadn't made a Star Wars movie, I guess, if you count Clone Wars, in 8 years. So you guys had to rush into it, and make that.
Yeah, I know. It was terrible. So I have another quiz question for you.
Fire away.
Okay. I know you have been following the return or the retcon of Slave One in the new lore, right? So let's explore the Fire Spray ship. Who built it and what was it used as?
I got really snarky last night on my stream about this. Like, you have all these big.
I have to read that part. Yeah.
You have all these big Star Wars channels, these big channels with Star Wars in their name, and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe Disney named this Fire Spray," and I'm like,
right.
Yeah, West End Games, I believe, came up with that probably in 1989. So turn in your Star Wars card. But
He's like, I'm revoking your rights right now.
Yeah. Kuat Drive Yards was the manufacturer of that particular vessel. And they only made like so many of them. What was your other question?
Okay, so what was it used for?
It was you mean the class itself? It was like an escort vessel or something, right?
Kind of. It was originally used for planetary law enforcement and
yeah. That's right.
Duty.
Yep. Yeah. Makes sense because it had a holding cell and all that stuff. So it was perfect for a bounty hunter to use, so he could put his captured prey inside the cell.
Right, because it's already well equipped, and all Jango Fett and then later Boba did was just add on extra weapons and all of that.
Yep.
it. Just like, Han with his freighter, he added extra stuff, to that as well. And so I find it funny. And I was, I was laughing at everybody's comments about fire spray, like people who really don't know Star Wars. Oh, it's pretty cool. It's called fire spray now. And I'm like, are you serious?
It sounds like you ate some Mexican food and stuff. Like,
Damn.
Look, if I'm someone and I know in my mind that I don't know that much about Star Wars, before I tweet something like that, I'm going to go Google it and make sure I'm not going to look like I don't know what I'm talking about. But
right.
I guess it's too much to ask.
Yeah, and the thing is like, okay, so they're like, we're not going to use Slave One anymore because it offends us, right? And so they go down that route. And then they're like, well, now it's going to be called, now it's being called fire spray. And then I was like, that's not very unique to the Fets. Mm-hmm. They're just going to call their ship the name of its model.
Mm-hmm.
That's not unique whatsoever. You're dumbing down the Fets even more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then these people that don't care to do their homework are eating it up like it's so like the best candy in the world.
Yeah. And I made a video on that on Slave One, and I just kind of explained why it's just vacuous to change that name when just because the word slave, it has a certain connotation to it. Yeah. These people want to change it. They don't understand that it can have more than one definition. Yeah. That it can mean more than one thing and have like an allegorical meaning behind the name and stuff like that. I enjoyed making that video.
Yeah. So, and so do you recall why it was named Slave One?
No, I don't. I don't.
Well,
seriously.
I made a video about that, but I don't remember why they called it.
I don't know.
So basically, short story, that Django ended up being a slave. He was.
Oh, that's right. That's in my video too. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. See, I knew it had to be in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I know. So like, come on now. No, you got this. You got this. Yeah, yep. And so there's a reason why it was called Slave One, and it's and it has to do with his freedom of being a slave.
Yeah, I remember that now. I think I have some screenshots from the comic when that happened in my video. But yeah.
And if people did their homework and understood why it's not offensive.
Yeah, and something else I did in my video, I looked up names of real life vessels that people have registered with various governments, and a lot of times like cargo vessels and stuff, they choose names that indicate it's like a workhorse or whatever, the name of that ship. So I don't know, it's just another way to virtue signal. They see a certain word and they have to change it to make themselves feel better when no one else would have even thought about that.
And then how long has it been called Slave One, right? And
since 1979, right? When the Empire Strikes Back novelization came out. So.
And then when George is making Attack of the Clones, he also reiterated it. Hey, it's called Slave One. So it wasn't just that the novel named it. It was approved and welcomed by George Lucas himself as well. And this goes to show that the new Star Wars owners, Disney, doesn't honor anything George does. And people who think that they do are mistaken.
Yep, you're right.
And that is proof right there. If they really honored George's lore and honored Star Wars, there should be no change in it. Now they're just changing the history. Mind you, Slave One wasn't really mentioned in the movies, right? So they can have that little leeway because they tossed away the source material. But still, people knew what it was named. George recognized it and even stated it, that it's Slave One. So, let me see. And then Siberian Dream, Disney are the same thin-skinned group of weak neurotics who obsessed over food, poisoning, and got offended by the words that George Carlin riffed on decades ago. Laugh out loud. And then Siberian 41 years. So, it's like the more and more I see with Disney and their handling of IPs, the more it's like I'm just like having a big distaste and I don't want to support. You know, and I already know how you feel about them. You're like,
Yeah.
fuck Disney. You know.
You got to
So,
upload Rhino's clip for that.
oh yeah, I should. Thank you. I'm gonna go do that. And I'll play it and surprise you. And then Tommy Aka, or AKA, that would require work, and those idiots just go the easy way and destroy everything. Yeah. Yes, but we are here more or less to talk about the EU. This is where the heart of Star Wars is at. So I'm going to go on with the question. So what is your favorite starfighter and why? Like X-Wing, Y-Wing, E-Wing?
I can't believe you are doing this to me.
You asked for it.
I'm going to have to think about this. When I'm thinking about this, let me tell you something cool. So,
okay,
you know the concept of uglies?
Mm-hmm.
So in one of our fan fictions back in the day, we came up with this ugly called the Bat.
Okay.
The B/AT, and it was an AT-AT head, an AT-AT head, with B-wing, the sides of B-wings going up like this, so it looked like a bat. So cool, and it had so much firepower. But we did that in some fan fiction. Man, what is my answer?
Like my ugly I just described.
What is my answer?
I can't tell you. You can tell me, but
probably the X-Wing, because think about it, you know, when you go into the new Jedi Order and Legacy of the Force, all they keep doing is like improving the model, right, and coming up with new model numbers with enhancements and stuff. And I think it's a really versatile design.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the 4 cannons that can be set to fire individually or in sync. It's got proton torpedoes. You've got your astromech that you can use as a co-pilot. So yeah, probably the X-Wing.
Okay, fair enough. I know you're like, why are you doing this to me? Why?
Plus, Wedge flies one, right? So
yeah, there you go. It all fits. And then Siberian Dream says, "No, you remember, boy, how I turned defeat into victory." And I'm just like butchering this. How I left you with a dying system. I just butchered that crap. Sorry. And then voiced by the awesome Tony J. And then let's see here. Siberian. I would accept a reboot as part of the EU before TCW. Filoni never cared. He panders to kids. Well, that's what I've heard with the Bad Batches. It's really, really immature. Like the story is like immature for kids. So, yeah. But who knows? That's just what I heard. I only watch the reviews of it. I don't keep up with it other than that. So,
yeah.
So I'm going to have another one for you here that probably will, you may have an answer for this, but we'll find out. Who is your favorite Star Wars villain and why?
That has to be a Sard. I just thought she was an evil bitch.
Okay.
I mean, she would have killed or sold anyone down the river. Like, who else would have done that?
Yeah. And then her red and blue eye as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
But if you want to go more mainstream, it's got to be Palpatine. I just think here's the thing. Like, anyone out there that doesn't like the prequels or they think that they don't live up to the originals, all that stuff.
Hello.
Here's what you do. You look at the prequels through the lens of Palpatine. Mm-hmm. Really cool character. You know, like in the very beginning, he's there. He's this weak, innocent old man, right? Or older man, aging man. And then you've got Sidious, and it's pretty obvious it's him. So, you know, to the hero's face, he's like, oh, I'm just your friend, and I'm doing all this. And then behind the scenes, he's doing all this stuff. Then you get into Attack of the Clones, and it gets worse, you know.
Yeah.
And then you get into Revenge of the Sith. That character is amazing. I mean, look what I got back here. You know, I got the cane. I got the deciphered card that's worth like $100.
Nice.
And I've got the Phantom Menace Senator Palpatine figure. I mean, great character. So when you want to go mainstream, I mean, you can't beat him.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the thing is like,
I need your help, son.
I sold her dad out vicious, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Another thing. Yeah, and then with Palpatine too, you know, he's the mastermind to all of it. Everybody was his victim, right? The Jedi were his victim because they knew that they would act on protecting the Republic.
Correct.
So either way, they were going to choose a side for the best interest of the people in the galaxy. So he played the Jedi to their weakness. And, you know, and then they didn't see it coming. They did not see it coming. Whereas, you know, later in the new lore, you know, then he becomes this crazy ass cuck, you know, that basically himself says, I'm going to attack you in about a few days, announces it to the resistance and stuff like that, you know, so that was so very dumb. Stupid. Yeah. And then in the new lore, I'm assuming he has Tarkin destroy Kamino. And then I'm like coming to the conclusion, this is why you have these botched, failed clones, because you destroyed one of the best, most, you know, the scientific engineering of species and biology, you know, and you destroyed that. And so now you don't have any resources, and that's why you have botched clones. So I don't think they thought that through.
No, they didn't.
So they did not. And so tell me so we're going to switch gears now. We're going into a little bit of a weapon here. Tell me what the Reich blade is and who carried them.
Oh, those scythe-looking things that the Wookiees carried. Usually in pairs. Yeah.
Yeah, have two of them and they're arched like that. Yep. So there we go. I was like, oh yeah, good for you. You didn't hesitate on that one now. And I thought they were interesting because they're like little machetes, and they have the little handles, and that they were used for combat, but also used to help them get through and clear the forest, the trees, and stuff like that. And so I thought that was something that I wish we could have seen more, you know, in the lore and stuff, because I thought those were very brilliant. And they were brought, I guess they were like one of the first weapons when the Wookiees were more primitive before they started, you know, using, you know, technology and stuff. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Oh,
do you know who first contacted the Wookiees?
No, I don't remember.
The Corellians did.
Oh, okay.
I think it's in my Corellia lore part 1 video I released about a month ago. So yeah, and they tried to. I don't want to say they tried to enslave them, but they definitely tried to exploit them. So
yes, Wookiees were exploited a lot. They had how many times have they had their planet bombarded? About 3 or 4 times.
Shit, yeah. Yeah.
You know, one by Vader, one by his grandson. You know.
Well, and then during the Clone Wars, you know, just the war itself, and
exactly.
Insane.
Exactly. So, and let me see what else I was going to ask with that, but okay, we'll move on. It'll come back to me. And I know it's like I have all this stuff going on in my head right now. I'm like, do. It's, you know, bouncing and stuff. You did a video for your Expanded University titled "The Tale of Alien Exodus."
Oh, Exodus, yeah.
Exodus, yeah, and the attempt to place American graffiti into the Star Wars lore. Yeah. So I thought it was very, very interesting. I'm like, I was looking through your stuff, and I'm like, what should I, you know, ask about his video, one of his videos? And I don't think a lot of people know that. So that's one of the little known.
After Zahn wrote his books, they're like, we got to do more of these, right? Because they sold really well. So they started taking pitches. Well, those books were not going to be from Bantam. They were going to be from that other company. I talk about it in my video. I can't remember. It was another science fiction publishing house. So they had that guy. I can't think of his name again.
Sayers? Yeah. Sawyer, Robert Sawyer.
Robert Sawyer. They're like, pitch us some books, you know? So he came up with this outlandish plot. And again, he's looking at the West End books and all that stuff. And he's looking at all the aliens and the descriptions of them. So he comes up with this story that, okay, here's what it is. Richard Dreyfuss, his character in American Graffiti, his descendants are living in the dystopian future of THX 1138. And if you haven't seen that movie, I'm talking about the real movie, not the student movie from Lucas, because a lot of people don't know he did a student movie that was like really low budget, and then he became a movie maker and he got a real budget. Both really good movies, like 1984 type stuff. So anyway, that descendant of that character is living in that time, and they're like, we got to get out of here. So they escape. They get on this ship because it's in the future and they have the ability to travel in space, and they get caught in this anomaly that takes them back in time and across space, thus a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And they come out of or the anomaly, whatever, and there's this species that's ruling this planet using recognizable Star Wars aliens as slaves, the Ortolans, the Ketonax, Rhodians. Yeah, actually, they're like the slave masters. They're like they're like their enforcers, Gamorreans, all that. So then, you know, the story happens where it's pretty obvious this guy's a descendant of the Skywalkers, and he starts building this resistance and all that stuff. And then it come to find out these aliens are like larval huts, because, you know, just like huts, you know, insects and larvae and all that, and they permanently become larvae. So they're the huts and stuff, and that's the origin of humans in the Star Wars galaxy. Totally outlandish and stuff.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know that story, and I can't remember where I first came across it, but it was back in the day when there wasn't a Wikipedia and there wasn't stuff like that. And I almost couldn't believe it. I had to check a couple of sources to make sure it was real. So when I first started doing my EU videos, I'm like, well, let's do stuff that's interesting, right? Let's do that. And then I did the action figure continuation line that never happened. Yeah. What was the name of that one? The Epic Continues. You know, they were going to try and continue the story beyond Return of the Jedi so they could sell action figures, but Lucasfilm rejected it. You know, I thought I'd do interesting stuff that people might never have heard of. Right. So, yeah. And yeah, really crazy.
That's what I like about that. And that's why I was like, okay, so I was like, let me look at one of his EU videos or Expanded University videos, and we'll talk about it a little bit, get people intrigued, because there are stories that, like the Heart of the Jedi, that weren't used, you know, or weren't approved on or whatever. And then when you get into them, you realize, oh, I see why it wasn't used, you know, kind of deal. Yeah. And this is one of them.
By the way, how much are those going for on eBay now?
You know what? Last time I seen like $500.
I have like several copies, so
you're like, we'll do an auction.
I purposely bought several copies because I knew this would happen. But anyway, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I got 3, so one is going to Canada to the one that won it for becoming a new member.
Nice.
So I'm excited about that.
Congratulations, member.
Yes, I forget his name now, but I'm sorry. But what are your thoughts of that blue crystal in the story that harnesses the Force or can drain the Force or whatever, and how the Barlanes, I guess they're called, were going to use it to move planets? Remember, because you kind of compared it to the Centerpoint Station.
Oh, was that in the Robert Sawyer story?
Yes, talking about that one. Sorry. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, that was just insanity. Yeah, that guy just came up with the most outlandish stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, it wouldn't have been consistent with what came later and stuff.
Yeah, any of it. So if you guys have a chance after this, go check it out. You'll be very surprised of like everything that Robert Sawyer uses, how kind of it harkens to other stories that came and were approved afterwards. Very, very interesting. So if you're, interested in something that would have been, then that's a fun story to listen to, but it also make you kind of cringe at the same time.
Yeah, and you know what else? Like, you saw my Twitter post, and I got my Galaxy books in.
Yeah.
there's probably other stuff like that in these. I need to make more of those videos of stuff people might not ever have heard of before.
Yeah.
That's fun stuff. So, and big compliment from Magneto Alex. Tim, Alora, Matt, and Christopher Nelson, top Avengers of the EU YouTubers.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, it's definitely not Star Wars Explained, Alex. So.
Oh God, yeah. We won't get into that one there. All right. So, so we have that crystal or that little story that kind of reminds you of like Center Point Station or whatever. And then there's another one that's like Center Point Station that goes into, and I don't think you've read the series. Have you read Fate of the Jedi series yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so I don't know how familiar you will be with this, but there's one station, and I know you're familiar with TCW Mortis Arc, but there's one station that's similar to the Center Point Station that has trapped Abeloth in the Maw sector. So there's something to look forward to there. There's that little.
I heard about that.
Yeah. And so going past that one, what did you think of the Mortis Arc in TCW?
I haven't seen it since it came out.
Okay.
Which was what, 2010 probably?
Yeah.
Something like that. And I didn't like that whole show, but I kept watching. I didn't see the Lost season. What would that have been? 5 or 6? It would have been 6, right?
I think so. 6.
The Lost season was 6, and then the Disney season was 7. I think that's how it goes. Yeah. I didn't even see that. I just kept watching, hoping I would like it. But I think it's kind of like a kid show. I think it had some good episodes,
Yeah.
But again, just like when they discarded, because they can't decanonize the EU. You can't decanonize something that was canon. When they discarded the EU, it's kind of like what they did with Karen Travis's series and the Clone Wars multimedia project, right? Yeah. So that show already had a mark against it, but my little boy at the time, he was only, 7 years old when the movie came out, Clone Wars movie. And by the way, he's now like a active member of the military, and I'm very proud of him. But point is, I took him to see that movie, and it was so stupid, the whole thing with Jabba's son, and I didn't like Ahsoka from the get-go, and I kept watching the show hoping it would get better, right? And I'm just like, I don't like this show, but I'm going to keep watching it. It was, I don't know what it was. It wasn't like Bad Batch bad from what I've heard from Rhino and stuff, but it just wasn't, it wasn't good. It didn't feel like it should have to me. It was kiddie-ish.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And the Blue Pig Gaming says, I like TCW because it put Darth Bane on the small screen.
But didn't he look different or something?
Yes, he was reimagined. And he looked very different. So that was kind of off. And he came in as a Sith spirit, I guess, as I remember. I vaguely remember that. It's been a while, and I've refused to go back and watch it again. I'm like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah, and everyone knows about the Martez sisters.
Yes, exactly. Everyone does. And then Soul, everybody's laughing at him now.
The side cut.
And their famous hairdo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's chat about the homing beacons and their use compared to the faux lore or the new lore tracking fobs.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to compare and contrast. So, go ahead and share with us what you know about the homing beacons, and we probably know your take on the tracking fobs.
Yeah. So in West End Games, they had this awesome book. And that was one of the cool things back in the day. You didn't know what was going to come out. So every time you went to a bookstore or a comic shop, there could be a new book. I'm sure if you asked the comic shop owner, can you tell me what's coming out? Look at your list. And actually what's funny is I looked up the phone number I didn't look it up. There was no way to look it up. I called information and I asked for West End Games in Hunsdale, Pennsylvania. like in the mid 90s. And they gave me the number, and I would call, and this nice lady would always answer. I'm like, what books are coming out? She would have a list, like right at hand, and tell me. So that was kind of cool. But anyway, Kraken's Rebel Field Guide. Amazing book. All the Kraken guides were amazing. But they came out with something called the S-Thread Tracker. And basically, it was this device that you could put on a ship, and it would emit a signal, right? Mm-hmm. And it would cross over HoloNet transmission channels and stuff. And that's how you could track the ship. You could use the HoloNet to say, hey, the ship that we put this tracker on is going this way because, there are pings heading in this direction. So I think that's kind of what the implication was that they did in A New Hope with the Millennium Falcon. Yeah. So Rhino is actually coming out with a video on how he can only guess tracking fobs work. So no surprise there. But he read the script to me the other night after his stream, and he's going into pretty deep detail on that. But they didn't even think that one through because we had never heard of that. We've been reading bounty hunter stories for 20 years, 30 years. Right. Mm-hmm. And no one ever brought up anything as outlandish as that. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And then, so what exactly does make a tracking fob work? Is it the genetics they put in there, or what?
Well, I think so. I think that's what they're implicating. Like when you look at that episode of The Mandalorian with their version of Boba Fett, and he has that chain code.
Rhino, the narrative is fobbed.
That's a good. There needs to be a T-shirt of that. Tell Cell Shade. But when he shows that chain code thing, I think in their universe, in the Disney universe, I think these chain codes are something that you're given when you're born, and then in that stupid, what is that X-Wing series called that they have? Alphabet Squadron.
Alphabet Squad, yeah.
So in the last book, I heard that they revealed this computer on Coruscant that tracks everyone in the galaxy or some bullshit like that, because the Empire is an authoritarian government and stuff. And they stole that idea from The Moon is a Harsh Mistress from Robert A. Heinlein. But point is, it tracks everyone in the universe, which leads, or in the galaxy, it leads to a lot of questions like, why couldn't they just find out where the rebels are and stuff? So the implication there is that the chain code is somehow, if you have the frequency or the code itself, if you're in the vicinity of the person, you can use a tracking fob. So I think what they were trying to get at is, if I'm Action Jackson, whatever the hell his name is, Carl Weathers' character, if I'm handing those out, it's not like it can track it across interstellar different distances, but if you know what planet they're on and you're in close enough proximity, you can kind of track them. But who knows, because they never explained it, Right. That's the problem. And not only that, but if I have something in me that I know people can track me, and I'm a person that doesn't want to be tracked, why don't I just remove that thing? It's so stupid. It's not explained. And if you're not going to explain something like that, then don't even come up with it. That's my point.
Yeah, especially when you have material that came before it, because then it starts contradicting it, because you say, okay, so why didn't they track Obi-Wan to Tatooine and or add Padme to Polis or whatever, and find them and stuff, and so it doesn't make sense whatsoever. And so that's why I wanted to touch basis on this, is that we have the homing beacons. They make sense, right? Because it's already been established, it's already been fleshed out, but it just makes sense. So something that has to do with genetics and are sticking in a chip or whatever you want to call it when someone is born, how in the hell would people in society want that anyway? I don't get it. So it's like, chip my child. That's bullshit. I'd be like, hell no.
Well, and then you go to that one episode, the one with, I think the first one with Gina, right? Where they're on that forest planet and they're fighting those renegades and stuff with the ATST. Like, he says something like, oh, they'll never stop coming. Well, then why did you even try? If you knew they would never stop coming and you know how the tracking fobs work, then why did you even try? It doesn't make any sense.
No, and I can't wait to see Raging Rhino's video on that.
He read the script. It took like 10 minutes for him to read it. So it's going to be about a 10, 11-minute video.
Nice.
And he's going to have the pictures and all that stuff. So sorry for giving anything away, Rhino. But yeah, definitely be on the lookout for his video in the next couple of weeks.
This is to advertise to it, and people have something to look forward to, because I think everybody is like, how in the hell does that shit work? Mm-hmm. So he's known for not caring for the tracking fobs anyway, so it's classic for him to do something like that. So guys, stay tuned for that, and I will share on my Twitter and stuff when it comes out.
Yes.
So, yes. And so I know that you love doing the expanded Bootyverse. I have contributed that to you as well.
I didn't do one today.
Oh shit, better get on it. We still got time. But who is your favorite female Star Wars character? I'm gonna put that on you now.
Well, because I'm truly not a sexist, I don't even think of in terms of sex. I don't have an answer right away. But let me think about it here. Oh man. Shit. Oh yeah, I forgot about the Hall of Knighthood. This is like a good preview, right?
Right.
Hold on a minute. Let me look at some pictures here.
He's like, let me see.
I know I have an answer. Like, I just can't think. It's it's not the obvious. It's not Leia. It's not Jaina. Probably not even Mara. A little bit too much of a bitch for me.
Big Bootyverse. Buddy.
Shit. Who? Let me look at. I need like a reminder. Who is it? Are you surprised it's taking me so long?
Not really. There's so many. So
I definitely don't like Padme. I think she's a horrible person. I think that was the point of her. I think Lucas meant for her to be a horrible person because she's just as bad as Anakin is. She's his enabler, in my opinion.
Yeah. Darth Talon?
No, I like the way she looks. I mean, yeah. Let me think of all the X-Wing ladies.
You're like, back to the X-Wing.
Man, this is a tough question. This is like the hardest one. No, she's kind of dumb. And
to be in your head right now, and you're like, filing all these women in your head.
Yeah.
So you're women.
You know who I kind of liked? And this is like totally out of left field.
Okay. Let's hear it.
And I'm not just saying the character itself. If you want to say the character itself, it's probably a Sard because she's a badass. But like the person itself and the style. What was that chick's name that showed up several times in the Marvel series that kind of dressed slutty and she knew Han and she like had blasters and she hung out with Jackson, the Green Rabbit.
Yes.
What was her name?
I can't think of her friggin' name.
I got to look this up because I just like the way she talked and acted.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. It's funny how you remember like a rabbit named Jackson.
He's one of my favorites. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
And then Disney's trying to steal him.
Yes,
her name
would be my favorite from the X-Wing books.
Who?
Oh, for where'd it go? It jumped on me. Small Time said that he likes Merax.
Yeah, she's kind of cool. She's Carillion. Because if I lived in Star Wars, I'd be Carillion just because I'm a renegade and stuff. Here it is. It's that's a cool name. Her name is Amaza.
Yes. Okay. It's
Amaza Fox Train. Yeah. Let me see if I can find a picture here.
All right. Go ahead and share.
I don't know. She dressed that way, but she had guns, and she just had like sass to her. And yeah, I think this is the one right here. There it is, with Jackson.
Oh, there we go.
She wore like a bikini top, short shorts.
Do we have an expanded bootyverse one now? No.
Yeah, there you go. Got to find one. Yeah.
There you go.
Really cool character. Like that storyline, if you've never seen it, it's like the Magnificent Seven type story where it's right at, actually, believe it or not, I brought out for this stream one of the oldest pieces of Expanded Universe. It may be the oldest. There's like a question of whether or not it is, but it's number 7. The first issue to go beyond the movie adaptation. So there's a question of whether or not this hit the stands before the Pizzazz magazine did.
Hold it up again.
The Pizzazz magazine did that had like a short comic in it. So it's one or the other. But with comics, it's really hard to determine. 75 cents at Al's Comic Shop in Stockton, California back in the day. But it's really hard to know when comics actually hit the stand when it was 40 years ago. So it was either this or the Pizzazz like mini comic story. But this is the one where he forms the team and they go to fight Sergi X Aragontis and the Cloud Riders, which they tried to rip off for Solo, a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
So,
right. Yeah, I haven't read those in a while, but my a person that I was going through, I had in a college class like a year and a half ago. He had all those, and he brought him. We were talking about Star Wars, and so he brought him to class one day, and he goes, "Here, take this for the weekend and enjoy." But bringing them back, and I'm like, "Do you really trust me with them? I would want to keep them, But I took them. I had fun reading them, remembering because it's been a while since I took a look at those ones, and so that was fun. Seeing all those old ones are fun. So
absolutely, yeah.
And then Chaos Man 17. I have been wanting to ask you, Alora, what do you think of Star Wars anime? I think it looks awful and it doesn't feel like Star Wars. The TIE Fighters anime felt like Star Wars and it was a fan made. Oh, that TIE Fighter one. Yeah, I did see the TIE Fighter one. That was really well done. But this new stuff that they're coming out with, that they are like making what ifs now, I'm not interested in it. No.
Well, they did the first manga one back in the late 90s, and I didn't like it. I'm not into it. I know everyone's talking about how manga's outselling comics right now, but it's just not my thing. Now, the only anime or manga I've ever liked, well, kind of one of two, is Star Blazers.
Okay, let me blow that up real quick.
Yeah, 1974, guys. This first came out. It hit the United States, I hear, in 1979. It hit my market in 83. It was on one of the local stations. And that what's unique about this, at least when it comes to American stuff, it had an ongoing storyline, right?
Yeah.
Where the Earth has been bombarded and all that stuff, and it's poisoned. And they have to go find like a cure for it. So they convert the the Japanese ship, the Yamato, into a starship, and they have to travel to get it. So it's an ongoing storyline, and just really cool. And all the characters have their own interesting background and stuff like that. But other than that, I really don't like anime and manga.
Yeah,
so
I never
see. Steven Saucedo knows.
Yeah, I'm not a big, huge fan of it. I am reviewing some of it for Babe de Menace. That's a once a month show. And I just haven't had a chance to watch what we're supposed to watch, and I forget what we're supposed to watch. I'm bad. I am bad. So let's see here. Last one before we have everybody in the chat ask you a few questions. You're doing a series on Corellia, the planet. What is your thought of the creation of the Corellian system?
Oh, you mean how every planet has a planetary repulsor?
Yeah.
Talking about Corellia, Drawl, Salonia, Talus and Tralis, or Talus and Tralis, however you want to pronounce it. I don't know. I don't read audio or listen to audiobooks, so I don't know how they pronounce them in those. But point is, I think, and it's in my video, I think it's cool because it gives Star Wars like a really rich history, right?
Yeah.
And how many thousands, tens of thousands of human systems are there? It's okay for one of them to be formed that way, you know?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I always like that ancient alien type thing. Not in real life. I think it's all bullshit. But like in a fictional universe, I think it's cool to have something like that.
Yeah, like the Celestials that came in and used Centerpoint to build the system, the Corellian system. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really
and
cool.
So you guys stay tuned for that. I know you're busy with a lot of like planning with videos for your channel, pre-recording. I am in the same boat. It's like I have all these ideas. I'm still working on my Rogue One versus Dark Forces, and I'm like, damn, I want to get that out as soon as I can, but then it's just not working as fast as I want to. It's just patience, you know. I have to have patience. And my next video is going to be Tatooine, the planet Tatooine, its history. I think it's very important, since it's basically one of the first planets we see in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very significant planet, and it holds both of the Skywalker men. You know, they have their stories there, their origin there. So I think that's very important. So people in the chat, if you have any questions you would love to give to Tim, go ahead and bring it. Yes, bring it. So
don't sing it, bring it.
Bring it. Yeah, don't sing it, bring it. So let's see here. It would give Disney Star Wars creators a heart attack, and I don't know what that one is about, but I'm guessing keeping continuity. I don't know.
Probably that would fit.
Right? It's like they don't even care, you know. Let's see here. Let's see, we have small time here. If the EU were continued, what era would you like to see explored more?
Between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, more X-Wing novels.
Okay.
I mean, let's tell some Rogue Squadron stories between that time, you know?
Yeah.
Include Luke. And I'm not saying I want it to be published now, because I don't want anything published now, because I just think giving money to them, I'm not one of those people, like most of the guys at expandeduniverse.com, that think that two continuities can exist. I don't think that's possible. I think that if they were to continue a different continuity, the people in charge of it just wouldn't allow it to be good. I think it would be woke and all that stuff. But if we could wind back the clock, between those two movies, there's so much room to explore. There. So.
And the X-Wing series is brilliant because, you know, we've heard even now these days is that they always talked about the Force users, the Sith and the Jedi. They never gave us anything that was non-related. Excuse me, X-Wing series, you know, kind of thing. So the Blue Pig Gaming asks, thoughts on the holiday special? Oh yeah,
it's bad, but that Jefferson Starship song is pretty good. You know. Sure.
That's the only good thing about it. I remember my daughter, she was like, Mom, let's watch the holiday special. And so we get to Chewbacca's dad.
Oh, the porn scene? Yeah.
Yes. And I'm like, let's go ahead and change this.
What the heck were they thinking? I mean,
I know. Wow. I'm like, George, what the hell were you on during that time? So, you know, some sick thing going on in your head. Yeah. All right. So Chaos Man 17, who was a better Imperial officer, Isard or Dala?
Well, Isard wasn't an officer. She was an Imperial intelligence hasty. So definitely her, because Dala was incompetent. So
yeah. And she was even throughout, like once you get into Legacy of the Force. Yeah. Not Legacy, Fate. Sorry, Fate of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I'm like, wrong one, Alora. Yeah. And then Siberian says, Alphen lied is greater than Star Wars Visions. Okay. I can't say yes or no, either or, but I'll take your word for it. Boba Fett, I do like GNR, but didn't know they were releasing anything new.
Guns N' Roses?
Yeah, what's GNR? I was like, that's what I went to, Guns N' Roses. I was like, what? General Kenobi. All right, let's see here. All right, everybody's all saying hello, and then Miss Martin Muse is like questioning something. I don't know. Maybe
I don't know. That's my answer to her question. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay,
42, that's the answer.
You know, Tim does K bar B5 get along with Luke. There we go. I need my glasses. I should have wore them anyways. I told you I was going to wear them and I didn't. Get along with Luke and the gang if they met?
It depends. It depends which Jakar. Are you talking first season Jakar? No, but probably fourth season he would. Yes. So that's my answer.
Okay, fair enough. And then the Blue Pig. I think it fits better as two trilogies: A New Hope, Holiday Special, and Empire. When the Ewok movies, and then the Ewok movies and the Return of the Jedi. Boom, two trilogies.
No.
Very interesting, but I have
Destroy
to
the Holiday Special.
Yeah, the Holiday Special is what it is, but yeah. Boba Fett, what is your perspective on Palpatine and the Rule of Two? Good question.
What do you mean by that?
Yes. Well, we know there's that question. He didn't answer yet, but there's that question, or there's that assumption that by time Palpatine came along and stuff, we started seeing the Rule of Two change. But then we know that the Rule of Two changed when it was Darth Krayt many years ago, or after.
Well, some people have said that Maul was around, and Palpatine approved of his presence, but I think the idea there was he was just a chaos agent, but in reality, he was being groomed to be a replacement, right? To not a replacement, but to serve as the apprentice. But Plagueis was so blinded, he thought he was so powerful that Palpatine would never be able to usurp his power. So, yeah,
and I think that's what they all had. Like in the Rule 2, that the apprentice, when they feel that it's their time and they're strong enough or whatever to defeat their master, they start getting an apprentice, and that's my understanding because we've seen it in the trilogy. And so when you get a chance to read that, then you'll see a little bit more on that, and it will open the door to like, oh, okay, I get it more.
Right.
So, let me see here. This is going quick now. And can we see? Okay, so and Tim, would Lando hate Failure?
Yeah, they would hate each other because they're both like political maneuverers, so manipulators, whatever. Yeah, they would hate each other, even though they're the same.
What did you think about Failure?
I think he had a great way to go out. Do you remember how he died?
Yes, vaguely.
Yeah,
I know I know he was on court. Wasn't he still on Coruscant or something like that?
Yeah, they were invading, right?
Right.
He was on Vong, and he basically stayed behind, and Han and Leia were trying to get him out on the Falcon, but they failed, so he just kind of pulled a grenade and took out a bunch of them with him. So, that was kind of a way to go out with the character. He knew that he didn't have it. I mean, what was he going to do? Grovel? He was too proud to grovel for his life. So he didn't have anything else to do but, take a few with him. So that's what he did. So pretty cool.
Even after turning his back on the Jedi and all them during that time, so that was pretty cool. So okay. And then Siberian says one more. Do you think Star Wars Visions is going to be more of the same old? I think the same creative team will be in charge of it, so it won't be received well.
I don't know what Star Wars Visions is.
Okay, so to catch you up on that, I know a little bit about it. They're doing a what if story that is going to take place, like some stories are going to take place like after the Disney trilogy, and it's anime, and it's basically just stories told in anime. So.
I'm not interested.
Yeah, I'm not either. So, I mean, but I know a little bit about it because I see people talk about it, and when it was first announced, then I was watching what was going on Twitter with it. So yes, if anyone's wondering, Guns N' Roses released a new single called "Absurd." Okay, I didn't even know. I don't even know. All right, so G Car is the reason we have Swedish meatballs all over the universe. Okay, Stig, what do you think about that? Swedish meatballs.
Yeah, that's what he's having for dinner.
Yep, that's what he's having. Okay, Palpatine tended to abuse the Rule of Two, at least in the spirit of it. How did he rule? Like how? You don't understand that one. And then we have Shay Nolan here. Hey, Laura, Tim, and chat. How are you doing? Yeah, what's up? What's up? Okay, Phil, redeemed himself in my eyes. Yeah, that was the best thing he can do. Because, I remember that he bombed or he went down in the blaze of glory, basically.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since I read that arc. But let me see here. Here's another question. Hey, could you see Quark and Lando getting drunk together in a scene? Lando regaling Kirk with stories of past glories, Quark citing rules of the acquisition, and lots of laughing. Crossover moment.
I hate crossovers.
Yeah, you're like, I hate it. All right, let's see here. What's your favorite droid?
You mean like model or actual droid? When it comes to actual droids, probably the YVHs.
Okay, the YVHs. Okay.
Yeah, those are badass.
Mm-hmm. And then Chaos Man. One more question before I go. Who was your favorite Sith of all time?
Palpatine.
Okay.
Darth Sidious.
Let's see here. Let me see here. Let's see here. Still, it was never the same without Stephen All Adler, who'd been gone since the 90s. And Izzy, okay, we're talking Straw.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is Talking GNR stream.
Mm-hmm. I know. Let's see here. Any more questions going on here? It was going fast and skipping. Now it slowed down. Let's see here. Oh, and then it skipped again. I hate when it skips. Let's see here. I don't see any more questions here. So, all right. So we'll start winding down now. We're coming up on 2 hours. The Blue Pig Gaming says Darth Sidious isn't even a real Sith. He didn't follow the rule of 2. How is that? Please enlighten me on that, because from what I've seen, he did follow the rule of 2. He didn't have apprentices or anything like that. He basically lost apprentices until he gained the one he wanted. So they were just his pawns to get what he wanted. It was Anakin. So, we have one right here. All right. So how long before they turn to Butcher Couture? How bad will it be?
I don't know. They're going to butcher everything one thing at a time.
Yeah, and one thing I will say about this is that with their story with the High Republic and them just barely mapping out like even the Outer Rim with hyperspace, there's no way they can do a Couture story, because if the Outer Rim wasn't mapped until like 200 years before the prequel trilogy, it's not going to be doable thousands of years before. So.
Could you highlight Blake's comment?
Okay, Blake, where is it at? That one? No.
Naberi.
Naberi, huh? What was that one about?
Inside joke, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, I missed that one. And then he's laughing down here. He's like, oh.
We had this trivia months ago, and people asked, what her last name was, and I'm the only one that got it right.
Yeah.
And it was on the action figure. I mean, you can't get any more public than that. So no one should have gotten that wrong.
Yeah. Right. And then Chaos Man says, despite Dala being incompetent, do you think she would have been a better leader than Holdo? And
anyone would have been better than Holdo.
Mm-hmm.
She was a purple-haired SJW. So
I agree. That's no question. I mean, Jackson would be a better leader.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. It's like they're poorly written and they're written to fit their political agenda. That's how I see that.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes you out of the experience.
Most
and then the moment he met Luke, who could surpass Vader, he started trying to tempt Luke. Are you talking about Palpatine? I probably switched the whole conversation here, looking for other things. Yeah. But that's how Palpatine was. He was looking for a new apprentice that was better than the previous one. So he was always trying to up level, And people who said Luke, is not, is weaker than Anakin. He's at least as strong or even more strong, or he is what we should have seen Anakin be when if he didn't turn.
I agree.
So. All right, you guys, if we don't have any more questions here, then we will start closing out. All right, so let's talk about the Hall of Knighthood.
Yes.
We are going to have that on the 23rd. And let me pull up let me see, where is it at? I hate that they rearranged the brand section here.
I know, it sucks now, man.
I'll say it's on the 23rd, Hall of Knighthood at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time on my channel. And so this is a collaboration between Tim and I for our members, and we do need to meet up, figure out how to link this better. If you guys have the opportunity to come in and ask us questions, everything, we'll nerd out about Star Wars and whatever else you want to ask us. It's going to be fun. And those who are members of Tim's channel, you will also have an opportunity to have your name put in the drawing for the.
And many of you are here now too.
Exactly. So come to the stream. And do you want to add anything else, Tim?
No, it's going to be good. Not just Star Wars. Ask us whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, right. Because
personal questions, very personal questions. No,
very personal questions. Yeah, like personal, just put us on the spot. But yeah, Tim's channel is more than just Star Wars. And so he, he focuses on a lot more. So you can even come in and ask those. You can even come in, ask other questions or whatever, and just have fun at it. We're here to have a good time with you guys.
Yeah.
As well. And this painting right here, I'm getting ready to scan it and get it all digital on, so I can upload and then send off for print. So I'm very excited for that.
Real Asajj Ventress.
The real one, and it's called Mistress of Rattatak, her home planet.
Not Dathomir. Yep.
And then so I'm thinking, I haven't decided who to paint next. So I was thinking. Yes,
she did, Samuel.
What's that?
He asked if you had painted that or drew that. I'm like, yes, she did.
Yes, it's drawn and then it's painted. So I still have the copy of the drawing too. And so I'm thinking I'll probably do something for the ladies and maybe do Quinlan Voss.
Nice.
Yeah, so I want to find something creative and kind of like tweak it up a little bit. And I know Lady Toriel absolutely loves Quinlan Voss. She loves him. So yeah. And so doing that, something for the ladies, and then maybe I'll go on from there and start just doing a small series of Star Wars stuff. Nice. And one of the main things that I've been wanting to do was doing a study or little pictures of the X-Wings. Doing a collection of them, trying to figure out, okay, so that's Wedge's X-Wing, this is Luke's, and this is Tycho's, and blah, 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 and go from there. And look who we have. And he became a member. Thank you so much. Awesome.
Nice. Awesome. He's a Padawan. Yep.
Yep, he's a Padawan. Thank you so much. My highest one is Jedi Master, and I know it's a significant price, and there's a reason for it, because you do get a free mug. One of my, because my main thing is coffee chat. So if you become a Jedi Master, then you do get a free mug. So
yeah, and that makes you the Grandmaster.
Yep, right. So what do you have going on or coming up besides Hall of Knighthood?
Man, I've been busy. So tomorrow night, Greg and I are back for our weekly stream Off the Treks, because I know a lot about Star Trek too. And we're going to be talking about the hottest women in Star Trek.
Ooh, okay.
From 1966 to 2005, when Star Trek died. It's probably going to take several streams, but we're talking about all the way back to the 60s through 2005. It's going to be fun, so definitely be there for that. It's not going to be in any particular order, because that would be impossible. But I thought that would be a fun topic, and that's one thing I'm trying to get away from, spending so much time criticizing. Yeah, it's good. Criticizing stuff that we don't like in depth. Yeah, we need to keep doing it, but at the same time, giving it too much attention just isn't fun, and it doesn't take that long to criticize something. And then Monday night, my new show with two collaborators, Greg Lost Jedi 22 and Deadwood Dale, is Indecent Behavior, and we're going to really cover some controversial topics. Yeah, Dale's awesome. I met him on Ryan's member stream a few months ago. He's been on my channel. So we're going to really hit stuff and ask the hard questions and stuff. So tell your friends, be there. I think it's at 8:30 Central Time, Monday night. So 2 nights from now.
Awesome.
It's going to be good. And then I guess after that, I'll be back with Raging Rhino on Thursday night, and then the Spacing Friday night. So, yeah. And then videos. I'm working on my Legacy of the Force Bloodlines review. Great book. So I need to finish that up. And I have so many videos in the works that I just don't have the time to make them. So definitely come by my channel if you've never been there. Watch some of the old stuff, guys. I've got, at this point, like dozens of videos. Expanded University is my EU line. I've got just like culture issues, talking about like Gina and Dave Filoni and Pablo Hidalgo. So just go check all that stuff out.
Yes.
I try to make them informative. In my documentary, if you've never seen it, if you're one of the 21 people watching now that hasn't seen my documentary, then go watch it, because I really tried to make a point in that documentary. So yeah.
Exactly. And then Samuel, thank you again, or thank you for becoming a member. You guys, all of you guys are amazing here, and it does help the channel out so much. I do need a new mic, and so everything that is contributed, like membership and super chats and all of that, it goes back to the channel. So thank you guys so much as well. And do we have Fall of the Night not this next Saturday, but the following, right?
No, and this next, because it wouldn't be tonight, so it would be next Saturday. Yeah,
it is Saturday night. My week has been friggin' long, okay? Let me tell you, I don't even know what day we're on.
I forgot to mention that, because we have a challenge. I need to message you guys, but the challenge is come up with like the next woke idea in whatever franchise. Like, what's the next thing that's going to happen woke-wise? We're just going to start throwing stuff out there and brainstorming, and then like in a year from now, we'll go back and see how many we were right on, because right now, guys,
that's brilliant.
You can't be too outlandish with your predictions where they're going with this stuff. Are you going to have a midget, lesbian force user or something like that? You just never know what's going to come up next. So that should be fun. We're going to have some drinks and just go crazy.
Yeah, have fun with it and all that stuff. Yeah, so for me, this is what I have left for this month here is the 21st literature review at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and that is the Rogue Squadron, X-Wing Rogue Squadron novel, the beginning. We're not going to go through the series. This is just, I want this to get you hooked on the series, to want to read it. And that book does get you hooked on it. You're like, okay, I want to know more. And that's the brilliance of it. That is.
Yeah.
And then on the 23rd, again, we have the Hall of Knighthood at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here. And then, of course, Coffee Chat. And I think that's all for the remaining of August. And then September, I'll have that schedule. My Talking EU is going to only happen like twice a month, because I want it to be one of those where you guys are excited to hear, about another person who really loves the EU and their story, and you guys are, excited for that and all that stuff. I don't want it to be like back to back to back to back. And I think it's really fun. I like this idea I have with Talking EU, and then you guys get familiar with everything. Is this a new one as well? Did I just get a new one?
Yeah, E. Clay Thomason.
Yeah, thank you guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Oh my God, I had such a busy day and just a little bit of emotion because I get to see my stepmom. She's coming out here soon, and I haven't seen her in a while, so I was like almost in tears. And just one of those days. And you guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
He's a Padawan too. Yep.
Yeah. It's okay. We all start at Padawan, right? We all start at Padawan. And so thank you guys again for tuning in for Talking EU. I just love this, and I love just sitting back and nerding out with Star Wars on the people I bring in. Tim, you were a great subject. You're a great subject. But
thank you.
Yeah, but it was great having you on here, and everybody in the chat, thank you so much. I appreciate you all from the bottom of my heart, and may the Force be with you.